Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. Looking at the master, who could even see his throat, Zhang Yuanhai also smiled helplessly. But he can understand the master's mood at this moment. Evolutionist. There are only 10 items in total. There aren't many evolutionists. But in fact, the total number of evolutionists in the entire Cosmic Human Federation is still very terrifying. But massive evolvers. 99% of them are only of the first to third grades. Why? Because under normal circumstances, an evolutionist with ordinary talent may achieve the highest achievement in this life. There are even many evolutionists who have only been at the first level their entire lives. If you want to reach the 4th level, basically, you have to be an evolutionist genius. Theoretically, the pinnacle of top geniuses is the 5th grade evolution master. The pinnacle of monsters is the 6th grade evolution master. The pinnacle of the top monsters is the 7th level evolution master. Only super geniuses of the Tianjiao level. Only then can it be possible to reach the 8th level. Of course, talent is not static. Maybe one day you will have an epiphany, and then you will become a top genius, or even a monster genius. From a monster genius to a genius who grows up to be a genius. It's not like nothing. Just very, very, very few. That is to say, as long as Zian doesn't die prematurely or has any accidents. Plus if he continues to work hard. After many years. Perhaps, the Universal Human Federation may add an 8th grade evolutionist. And the 8th grade evolution master. That's so important. Let's put it that way. Each additional 8th grade evolutionist, then the super peak combat power of the Universal Human Federation will be increased by an additional amount. The role of the 8th grade evolution master is far more than that. Starship design. Even the enhancement of standard starships. Design, enhancement, and integration of components. So much so. It is a solution to the compatibility of multiple bindings between biological captains and biological starships. Pull. 44. In the entire Cosmic Human Federation, there are very few 8th grade evolutionists. This is what makes Xia Donglu so happy. His little disciple will become one of the pillars of the Human Federation in the universe. My little disciple, save face for yourself. This matter. But it's too long-faced. 7. Xia Donglu suddenly raised his head and said, Yuanhai, please pay more attention to your junior brother's side. In the near future, let him prepare. Get ready to go to the Taiku Galaxy training camp. Don't worry about the quota, I will take care of it. After a pause, Xia Donglu suddenly asked again, by the way, those people in his dazzling fleet, have you investigated them all? Zhang Yuanhai understood what the teacher meant. Hearing this, he immediately nodded and said, we have investigated it. The identities are all clean, and there are no problems with their character. Xia Donglu nodded, gritted his teeth and said, in that case, then I will get a place for them all as deputy deans. With their help, the training camp will be safer. Zhang Yuanhai nodded lightly and said nothing more. He has also been to the Taiku Galaxy training camp. In other words, several of their senior brothers and sisters have been there. This training camp can be said to be the cradle of geniuses in the Universal Human Federation. Anyone who comes out of this training camp, both strength and talent will increase greatly. But the same thing. This quota is also extremely precious. If Master gives Zian a place in the main hospital, he will suffer a lot of bleeding. If he gets a few places in the deputy hospital, the bleeding will be serious this time. This Taiku Galaxy training camp is not a school or any other place. There, you can call it heaven or hell. There is a paradise for the geniuses. But at the same time, it is a hell for geniuses who are inferior to the geniuses. High talent. It is heaven. Low talent. It is hell. The mortality rate is frighteningly high. Therefore, Master also allocated a quota for those members of the brilliant fleet. It's not that Master loves the house and the bird, but to increase the probability of Zian surviving. It can be said that for Zian, the Master really trained him because of Tian. However, the benefits are really great. Let's put it that way. Now Zian and the others are at the assault ship level. Wait until the training camp is over, maybe. They are already at the cruiser level. And the talent will skyrocket. So terrifying. Okay, I will arrange it. Zhang Yuanhai nodded in response. Xia Donglu nodded lightly and said, okay, let's arrange this matter for now. My research here is at a critical point, and I have to go back to research. As for your junior brother, you, the senior brother, should keep a closer watch. Anyone who dares to bully him will be beaten to death. Zhang Yuanhai nodded to express his understanding. At the same time, in the headquarters of the Universal Human Federation, in the Super Genius Protection Planning Department, all information about Zian was presented. The information is extremely detailed. It was so detailed that 18,000 generations of Zian's ancestors were investigated thoroughly. Including what day Zian did, what he said, it was even clear, just terrible. But it is precisely because the investigation is so clear. After confirming that the boulder had indeed evolved for Zian, and indeed after adopting double crossfire technology, it was immediately confirmed that Zian has the talent of being an evolutionist genius, the talent of cultivating top-level monsters, and Star Wars genius-level talent. Yes. You won't know if you don't investigate, but you'll be shocked if you investigate every day. Because Zian doesn't fight much, especially when he fights with all his strength. Therefore, there is no actual summary of the specific level of Zian's Star Wars talent. And Star Wars talents are not so easy to confirm. But now, after investigating and summarizing all the Star Wars achievements and Star Wars records of Zian from childhood to adulthood, only then did I realize Zian is not only an evolutionist whose talent has reached the genius level. Even the Star Wars talent has reached the genius level. That is to say, Nuaqian's Zian is the genius of evolution, the genius of Star War, the cultivation of top monsters, the design of monsters. 2 genius talents. He also has the dual evil talent. Among them, there is even a top-level evil talent. Such a terrifying talent. This doesn't even qualify for the Super Genius Dao Protection Plan. So who can enter? And the crux of the matter is, now, what level of quota will Zian be given in the plan? The Super Genius Dao Protection Plan is also divided into levels. Of course, ordinary geniuses, top geniuses, and peerless geniuses all enjoy different treatment. The 2 talents that Zian can confirm so far are only at the level of ordinary geniuses. Of course, it may be that there is still a lot of information that is unknown and cannot be confirmed. But at least according to the known information, Zian is just an ordinary genius. FFLX. What kind of treatment should you give Zian now? It becomes an issue that needs to be discussed, the final result of this department. Give Zian the treatment of a top genius. This is already the 2nd level of treatment in the Super Genius Dao Protection Plan. The treatment is second only to the peerless genius. Throughout the entire Cosmic Human Federation, the number of top geniuses is only close to 100. You can imagine the value of this treatment. Normally, Zian can only enjoy the treatment of ordinary geniuses. But, double genius talent, double evildoer talent. Definitely worthy of the treatment of a top genius. The other side, Zian still didn't know about this. Him at this time. Zhang and the other girls were looking for enemies everywhere. Today, more than 10 days have passed since the last time we killed the cruiser. Precisely because the cruiser was killed last time, Qin Fuyue, who was only at the frigate level, was most helped to improve. Just yesterday, She has completed upgrading from level 9 to level 10 frigate. Just one step away. Inside the dazzling fleet, another firepower ship with extremely fierce firepower will be added. Unimaginable, after adding another firepower ship. Brilliant fleet. How terrifying it would be. Zian was chatting with the girls. In other words, the essence of Star Wars is being transmitted to them. It is precisely because Zian has worked tirelessly to transfer these essential knowledge to them for many years. Therefore, the talents of the girls have improved very quickly, and they have already reached the level of monster geniuses. Even if he is just an ordinary monster, he is still a monster. But at this moment, suddenly the communication rang. Zian was startled. It was an unfamiliar number. But it shows. Universe Human Federation official, caller ID 760. It indicates that this call comes from the official of the Universal Federation of Humanity. Zian was shocked, and after speaking to the girls, he immediately answered the call. At the same time, there were constant doubts in my heart. I didn't understand why the official of the Universal Human Federation suddenly called me. Is it possible that he has now entered the vision of the higher-ups of the Universal Human Federation? With doubts in mind, he answered the communication phone. As soon as the call was connected, a soft female voice came over. Hello, Mr. Zian. I am a staff member of the Super Genius Protection Project Department. First of all, congratulations on your success in being selected into the list of the Super Genius Tao Protector Plan and becoming the core heaven of the Human Federation in our universe. Now, is it convenient for you to talk? The next content is very important, and I hope you won't reveal it. Listen to what the other person says. Zian's head was a little dizzy. Super Genius Tao Protection Plan? What the hell is this? But if you take it literally. Zian probably understood something, and immediately said after hearing this, please tell me, it's convenient for me to talk, and I will never reveal it to you. The other party said without any ink, Super Genius Tao Protection Plan. Focus on the action plan for the protection of super geniuses at the level of genius and above within the scope of our Cosmic Human Federation. The content of the plan will determine the level of protection you can enjoy based on your personal talents. After our discussion, it was confirmed that you have the second level of protection. So, from now on, our Space Human Federation headquarters will dispatch a void ship captain to provide you with the strictest protection. But, BBBH, you don't have to worry. Our protection will be based on ensuring your safety and will not disturb your personal daily activities. 1. In addition, your privacy is absolutely guaranteed. In addition to personnel protection. In addition, you will also have the second level of authority. In the event of an emergency, you can mobilize all nearby forces at will, including the power of the current force, as well as all nearby non-power forces. At the same time, a supply of supplies will be delivered to you later. This material will better protect your personal safety. However, I need to remind you that the protection personnel will only take action when the life of the inhumans, insects, human traders, etc. you are about to encounter is in danger. We will not help you with some of your daily combat behaviors, so as not to affect your normal growth. In addition, this protection is limited to non-battlefield environments. Once you enter the border battlefield, protection is immediately suspended. Because on the border battlefield, the appearance of a strong person protecting you will attract greater attention from the enemy. After listening to the other party's explanation, Zian finally understood what happened. FTE, selected into the Super Genius Protection Plan of the Universal Human Federation? And it's still second gear? Although I don't know what level this second level is. But thinking about it, it should be neither high nor low, right? And a void ship captain will actually be dispatched to protect him at any time. Void ship captain. That is a more powerful existence than the captain of the immortal ship. The ultimate length reaches more than 36,000 meters. What is this concept? A starship over 36,000 meters long, let's put it that way. A void ship is definitely the kind of existence that can suppress a star field. Absolutely super strong. In addition, there is also transfer authority under the Universal Human Federation. This permission, to put it more simply, is after Zian encountered danger. You can mobilize all the power around you that can be mobilized in the name of the Universal Federation of Humanity. It is equivalent to the official transfer authority of the Universal Human Federation. It is also the one with the highest authority. Everyone must listen. As for the supplies and so on, Zian doesn't know what those are at the moment. But I want to come. Since it can be used by the Universal Human Federation, I think it must be something very, very cutting edge. What does a surprise come to suddenly? What is pie in the sky? This is. After the other party finished talking to Zian, he hung up the communication directly and expressed, "Now the other party has arrived and entered the protection category." By the way, a communication number was also sent to Zian. The other party's protection scope. It will be within 100 light-years of Zian's area. This is to avoid prying into Zian's privacy as much as possible, and to rush to rescue as soon as possible when danger occurs. Because every super genius has his own secret. However, Zian can also ask the other party to protect him personally at will, or he can ask the other party to protect him from a farther range. You can also apply, no protection required. Just that way. The death rate is too high. In the past, there were several super geniuses who refused the protection of the strong men of the Universal Human Federation because they had their own little secrets and did not want to expose them. Needless to say, the results. They were all killed by the Inhumans or the insects. But Zian is not like this. Zian thinks that the range of 100 light-years is just right. For a void ship, this distance can be reached in almost minutes. You won't let some of your secrets be exposed. Anyway, Zian thinks it is the best. So, we are now protected by a super strong person? The corner of Zian's mouth curled up. Never thought about it. Have a day by yourself. He was actually protected by a void ship captain throughout the entire journey. Even the federal president of the Earth Federation cannot enjoy this kind of treatment. Grinning and thinking no more. Taking the girls with them, they continued to search for those human traitors. Zian's mentality has always been very good. Rather than letting others protect you, it is better to have the same or even stronger strength yourself. Not to mention that if there is a super strong person protecting him, he can really relax his vigilance. Zian will always believe in himself more. Time flies. Another month has passed. During this month, Zian, completely immersed in various simulations, various searches for enemies, and various improvements. After reaching the assault ship level, Zian obviously felt that the improvement in cultivation level became slower due to the excessive demand for biological energy. Therefore, the consumption level of Tian Kai Dibao was directly increased, although a large amount of wealth was paid for this. But Zian thinks it is very worth it. Because he felt that his cultivation speed. It's up again. It's only been a month and a half. Zian will be promoted from 2 to 3. The biological energy improved so fast that everyone was stunned. To know. Zian's biological energy is twice that of a person of the same level. In this case, the cultivation level can be improved faster than Huchichi. You can imagine the results over this period of time. Let's put it that way. Zian didn't know how strong his physical body was. During a combat simulation, he directly tore a War Master level powerhouse with his hands. Yes. Tear it apart, no weapons were used. And the physical body directly withstood a beam pistol, only a little skin was broken. Strong physical defense. But even his defense couldn't be broken. The only pity is, in this month and a half, apart from the cruiser, I only found one and killed it. But it's not bad either. After all, there are only so many cruisers. Today, It's not just Zian who wants to produce 3. Qin Fuyue. You can finally evolve from a frigate to an assault ship. Fox Chi-Chi's hell is full of heat energy. Thermal energy shells, no matter what era they are in, will never go out of style. Energy cannonballs naturally have their advantages. But thermal cannons aren't bad either. The power of the superpolymerized hydrogen bomb is not weaker than the Energy Emperor cannon of the same caliber. There are high-end energy cannons, and naturally, there are high-end thermal cannons. For example, proton cannons that can only be accessed by star destroyers and immortal ships, and even higher-level antimatter cannons, dark matter cannons, etc. As for thermal energy bombs, there are also supernuclear cannons, Death Star cannons, and black hole cannons. Of course, artillery shells of that level, whether they are energy cannons such as proton cannons and above, or thermal energy cannons above supernuclear cannons, are not accessible at this stage. That kind of cannon, the base alone costs thousands of pieces. Moreover, the current biological energy and mental power cannot be mobilized at all, and can only be operated manually. But the strength of the biological starship is that it can be controlled by mental power and then driven by biological energy. This is where biological starships are more powerful than mechanical starships. Therefore, only star destroyers and above can gradually come into contact with that level of artillery shells. Hu Chi-Chi has full thermal energy, so Qin Fuyue is naturally in the all-powerful area. A fire mage and an ice mage. It can also be compared to Hu Chi-Chi's physical attack and Qin Fuyue's magical attack. The proton cannon will definitely not work, but plasma cannons and ion cannons are still fine. Plasma cannon and ion cannon, don't look at it, there is only one word difference. In fact, these two kinds of guns are basically two concepts. They are essentially different and are not the same thing at all. Plasma weapons are weapons that use lasers to heat heavy hydrogen to millions of degrees to turn it into a plasma state, and then use electromagnetic technology to wrap the particles into balls and launch them. Plasma is one of the 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, gaseous plasma, and is a fluid composed of positively charged and negatively charged ions. As long as the input energy is sufficient, the originally electrically neutral gas will separate into ions and electrons with positive and negative charges. Has superpower. An ion weapon is a weapon that emits ion beams or ion clusters. The ammunition of the ion cannon is a large number of hydrogen ions without electrons. These hydrogen ions come from nuclear fusion radiation. When the high-energy particles produced by nuclear fusion radiation pass around the ion cannon will collect the hydrogen ions and launch the high-energy hydrogen ions through the launcher. Plasma weapons and ion weapons are actually more powerful, however, the shortcomings are also obvious. For ion weapons, the best combat environment is in space. If it is on a planet with an atmosphere, serious energy loss will occur in the atmospheric environment, resulting in a sudden reduction in power. In a space environment, ion weapons are needed. In terms of fire rate, both are actually about the same. So after comprehensive consideration, Zian decided to equip Qin Meiyue's Huiyue with an ion cannon. The reason is simple. They are starships. What is a starship? Starships are wandering in the sea of stars. Of course, there are the most opportunities for combat in the space environment. Therefore, ion weapons are the most suitable. As for the number of main guns and secondary guns, Huiyue and Awu have the same configuration. The Huiyue is also equipped with missiles. Missile. In fact, even in the interstellar era, it is still not outdated. Not only has it not gone out of style, it is still very popular. Missiles of the interstellar age. Of course, it cannot be the kind of missile that existed on Earth in ancient times. What TNT equivalent, what nuclear warhead, etc. Of course that stuff is already outdated. For example, Hu Chi-Chi's Howl is a superpolymerized hydrogen bomb warhead. As for Huiyue, its missiles use magnetic energy pulse missiles. The magnetic energy pulse missile is a missile with a sudden burst of energy and is very powerful. but the biggest effect. They are various devices that directly destroy the enemy, such as energy shield device. For example, detection radar, locking radar, star crystal optical brain, cab driving system, gravity control system, life support system, etc. Very useful. Even if those devices of theirs cannot be scrapped in one fell swoop. But it can also cause a lot of wear and tear on their devices. The result of a large amount of loss is a large reduction in energy shield and recovery speed. Will knock down the opponent's energy shield in the shortest possible time. Then just attack the hull fiercely. As for the quantity, it is still the same. 7 ion main cannons, 42 plasma secondary cannons, and 108 hyperlightspeed magnetic energy pulse missile launch bays, the double combination of Huiyue and Awu. The result is: if God blocks God, he will kill God; if Buddha blocks Buddha, he will kill Buddha. Incredibly powerful. At least go fight that cruiser again. Perhaps, the time to kill the opponent will be shortened by 2/3. Because 1 + 1 does not necessarily equal 2. When the 2 fireships are added together, the final effect may be greater than 2. In addition, this is due to the fact that Su Zian's double crossfire technique has not yet been fully mastered. Therefore, it can only be used on Taime's boulder now. Wait for the future, after Su Zian mastered the deeper double crossfire technique. It can even evolve by combining 2 main guns and 2 secondary guns. Although the number has decreased, the realization of double crossfire technology will inevitably have an effect greater than 2. Take the main gun as an example. After 2 main guns adopt this technology, the power of 10 main guns will be twice that of the 2 main guns combined. The rate of fire will also be 3 times that of the 2 main guns combined. This is the scary thing about the double crossfire technique, and that's just the double crossfire technique. If you master the higher-end 3-cross firefighting technology, even the quad crossfire technique, that's the real awesomeness. Generally speaking, only a small number of high-end evolutionists can achieve this kind of technology. This is why asking for flowers. This is why many star destroyers and immortals only have 1, 2, and 3 main guns. Of course, another reason is that their main guns are large, but another main reason is the use of crossfire technology. Adieu. Su Zian immediately evolved Huiyue. At the same time, the brilliant number was also evolved. 2 starships, moving simultaneously. On the 6th day of evolution, an unmanned express box suddenly came to Su Zian. At the same time, Su Zian's optical brain watch also received a message. Please pay attention to check the materials of Super Genius Dao Protection Plan. Su Zian immediately understood that these things were his supplies. I was immediately interested. He wanted to see it too. Headquarters of the Universal Human Federation. What supplies will you give yourself? But thinking about it, it couldn't be used for cultivation or evolution. Because this is a road protection plan. For protection. So Su Zian guessed. These materials should be used to protect oneself. Because these needed to be kept secret, Su Zian came to a secret place to open the box and check it out. As expected, when the contents inside were revealed, Su Zian immediately smiled. Space armor, melee weapons, ranged weapons, defense devices, medical devices. At the same time, on the optical brain watch, also received detailed information about these items. First of all, one thing is certain. These things. It is a product that is definitely not sold to the public. All are custom-made products. It is jointly created by multiple top companies. The cost is extremely high. First up is the space armor. These supplies were taken into consideration Su Zian's usage habits. Space armor is also ultralight. No. It should be the ultralight kind. How lightweight is it? Let's put it this way, it's not much thicker than ordinary clothes. However, the defensive capabilities far exceed those of current products. Absolutely not for sale. Additional melee weapons, ranged weapons, defensive devices, medical devices, and more. All of them. Zian then started checking. Space armor, no name. There is only one model. T-97 ultra-thin space armor. According to the introduction, this space armor, it can even be worn as ordinary clothes. Then outside, you can wear another piece of space armor. Its defensive power is not introduced in detail, but thinking about it, it should be very, very powerful. There is no doubt about this, because this can be concluded from other data alone. Other data. Enough to provide oxygen usage for 100 years, needless to say, it is anti-corrosion, anti-toxic, etc. Anyway, just super strong. And with such a piece of armor, Zian's personal safety, it will skyrocket to the next level. Zian immediately put on this T-97 ultra-thin space armor. How can I put it, the feeling of wearing it is no different from ordinary clothes. It is truly ultralight and ultra-thin. And the material inside is also very delicate and soft, even more comfortable than wearing ordinary clothes. Outside, you can put on your own set of Fengxing series space armor without affecting your movements at all. 2 layers of armor are worn on the body. Although it is unclear how defensive this T-97 ultra-thin space armor is. It must be more powerful than the Fengxing series of space armors. Even much more powerful. After all, there is a saying that this popular series of space armors is actually just the entry-level high-end space armor of the Universe Technology Group. There are also hundreds of millions or even billions of sets. Would you like to buy another set? Anyway, if the money is not spent, it is not yours. Zian thought for a while and made a decision immediately. Bye. The money is in the card, not yours. Only the money you spend is yours. Zian takes his own safety very seriously. After all, when people are gone, nothing is left. As long as people are still around, everything is possible. 2, 4, 3 Thinking of this, Zian didn't bother to look at anything else. I browsed the space armor directly. The space armor of Universe Technology Group is undoubtedly the best armor sold on the market. The most powerful and awesome armor on sale is a space armor worth 10 billion universe coins. According to official data, this set of protection, it's enough to withstand a full blow from a warrior-level warrior. It can also block multiple attacks from warrior-level warriors. A War Emperor-level warrior is the captain of a deep space ship. A warrior of the War Emperor level, he is the captain of a battleship. Of course, it's one thing to be able to resist. It's just that the strength of the armor itself can withstand it. But when you really encounter a warrior level or warrior emperor level warrior attacking you, the space armor is not broken, but you may be shattered by the vibration waves of the battle, which will shatter your internal organs. So if you want to match such space armor, you must have the corresponding level and physical fitness. Zian's physical fitness. He thinks it shouldn't be bad. I don't know exactly how strong it is, but it won't be too bad anyway. In addition, this space armor is named Wind God Series. The appearance can be customized. That is to say, although Zian bought the Wind God Series space armor worth 10 billion universe coins, its appearance can be disguised as the Fengxing Series space armor. This is very confusing. However, if you want to customize the appearance, you need to pay an additional billion universe coins. Zian doesn't have much else now, he just has a lot of cash. Say nothing more, purchase. Wind God Series space armor is also the ultralight type. After all, I am already wearing a T-97 ultra-thin space armor, so there is no need for light, medium, or even heavy duty. Ultralight space armor, although its defense is slightly inferior, but it greatly increases the agility of the activity. Say nothing more. Purchase. Customize your look. Expected to arrive in 1 month. Spend 11 billion cosmic coins. It does feel a little distressing, but within the acceptable range. After all, Zian now has tens of billions on his body, don't worry about money at all. The armor thing is done. Then there are melee weapons, ranged weapons, defensive devices, and medical devices. Same as the T-97 ultra-thin space armor. There is also no name, only the model number. Zian didn't bother to look at what model it was. Perhaps because they carefully studied their own files and information, the Universal Human Federation equipped themselves with Tang knives and pistols. Tang Dao is just the style of Tang Dao. But the materials used, etc., are an unknown metal. It has ultra-high toughness, rigidity, and even recovery properties. It is the legendary memory metal. And it's not just an ordinary memory metal, it's a memory metal that can be restored at ultra-fast speeds. To put it simply, the blade may have curled edges, or the blade may have pits. They can all recover on their own in a very short period of time. No need to think. This Tang sword was made of a secret alloy, and a large amount of natural materials and treasures should have been used. After just holding it in his hand and waving it a few times, Zian immediately fell in love with this Tang Dao. It can be called a true magic weapon. Then there's the pistol. The data of this pistol. Just one glance made Zian feel a little dazed. Super micro dark matter pistol. Yes. Anti-hydrogen pistol. The so-called anti-hydrogen. It is a type of antimatter. Anti-hydrogen is an antiparticle with the opposite charge as hydrogen. Anti-hydrogen weapons, such as anti-hydrogen cannons, are a type of antimatter cannon. Antimatter, in addition to anti-hydrogens, also includes antineutrons, antiprotons, anti-electrons, antineutrinos, antiproton neutrinos, anti-accessory particles, anti-helium, and so on. Each one is different. Anti-hydrogen is only a relatively moderate weapon among antimatter weapons. Its power is so great. Zian has not tried it and has no specific data, but based on his understanding of anti-hydrogen, let's just say that. One shot. It's enough to kill someone who is considered a warrior king. And it is a sufficient threat to the warrior-level warriors. That is a warrior at the War Emperor level and the War Emperor level. After all, this is just a pistol. It's not a large caliber weapon. However, the shortcomings are also very obvious. The ammunition capacity is very, very small. An anti-hydrogen bullet clip can only fire 2 rounds. And the shooting interval is relatively long. It takes about a minute to shoot, because it takes a lot of time to cool down. That's enough. Zian didn't think that he would have the chance to fight face to face with the warriors at the War Emperor level and the War Emperor level. At least at this stage, it's absolutely impossible, right? In addition, it is enough to carry a few magazines with you. Then there are defense devices and medical devices. The defensive device turned out to be a super miniature energy shield. Yes. It's the kind of energy shield on a starship. According to the introduction, this energy shield is equivalent to the frigate level. What? Do you think the frigate class is not strong enough? Huh. That's the energy shield used by starships. It can withstand the attack of the frigate's main and secondary guns. And the frigate's main and secondary guns. Isn't this what a full-strength strike from a warrior king level warrior is like? And this ultra-miniature energy shield can withstand several full-strength blows from a warrior-level warrior. The size of this defense device is about the same size as the smartwatch of Little Genius on Earth in ancient times. And can be directly installed on the T-97 ultra-thin space armor. The energy embedded inside it can block 5 full-force blows from a warrior at the level of a warrior, and then the energy will be exhausted. Just one sentence. Ridiculously powerful. Finally, there are medical devices. This medical device is about the same size as a defensive device, just as big as a dial. But there are several super effective medicines embedded in it, and it can automatically detect the physical condition of people. When it is found on your hand, it will automatically emit therapeutic light and treat it directly from the body. Healing from the inside out. The therapeutic effect is very impressive. I don't know how awesome it is, but it's just awesome. Total. Just a few supplies. But wait until you finish reading. Zian couldn't help but sigh. It can only be said that it is worthy of being the top technology of the universe and human federation. Just such a set of equipment can really save your life many times. And with this set of equipment, Zian is even expected to be able to survive the attack of a warrior-level warrior for several minutes. These few minutes. As long as it's not an empty place. Then there is a high probability of survival. This set of supplies. It's really, really important. Especially the anti-hydrogen pistol. With this thing, you can even easily kill a warrior-level warrior, okay? And even the strongest warriors at the Battle Emperor level cannot defeat him. The super genius Tao protection plan is indeed well-deserved. It really greatly improves the survival probability of super geniuses. Not to mention, there is a super strong man at the level of a void ship captain ready to rescue him. Just don't feel too safe. No. Zian feels that he should be safer than those top geniuses. Because he has the system. The system's instantaneous jump capability of 4.5 seconds, and with this set of equipment, even if there is a sudden attack, as long as the opponent is not a terrifying powerhouse who has reached the immortal level, the possibility of Zian being killed by a sneak attack or assassination, almost zero. Say nothing more. The Universal Human Federation is awesome. My human race is awesome. Zian chuckled. Without saying a word, all the equipment and so on were replaced. Except for the Fengxing space armor, all the other equipment from the past are no longer needed. When the Fengxing space armor arrives, this set of Fengxing space armor can also be sold on second-hand websites. After all, even if it's second-hand and has no damage, selling it for 2 to 3 million won't be a big problem. Put on brand new gear. Feeling a sense of security that I have never felt before, Zian returned to the evolution factory happily. Continue to evolve the starship for Qin Fuyue. Wait until Qin Fuyue's starship evolves. Next. It's the Brilliant Fleet. Started in the Venus-Mercury star system. The unbridled sweep begins. First. Wanted. Evolution value. Want it too, that night. In the dormitory, Zian took a bath and lay down comfortably. He is also a human being and will get tired. He continued to pursue the traitors of the human race, and then followed closely to evolve the starship. Evolution simulations, Star Wars simulations, combat simulations, and design simulations are carried out every day. Talk about it. Design simulation, so many days come down. Zian is almost finished designing the keel. Design. It's never a simple matter. Especially the keel design of the starship. Consider its rigidity, toughness, versatility, practicality, etc. Even if it's Zian. It took so many days of design to complete the initial keel design template. It won't be long before the design of the first keel is completed. In addition, Zian has always said that if you want to do something, do your best. Therefore, even the starship has not been designed yet. But the keel is directly set at the limit length, width, and height. Of course, there are also non-limited length, width, and height. After the keel with the ultimate length, width, and height is designed, the keel with non-limit length, width, and height, it's not that difficult. Just simplify the ratio of length, width, and height. That one is very simple. The difficulty lies in the selection of materials, performance control, and cost control. Once the starship is designed and sold, the lower the cost, the more money Zian can make. Naturally, costs also require a lot of control. 11 And these days. Ren Qingying never urged Zian. At most, I just chat with Zian from time to time and care about Zian's current situation, that's all. Zian has never been urged even once. This makes Zian quite satisfied. During this period of chatting with Ren Qingying, the relationship between the two is now very good. He stretched his waist. It's getting late now, Zian is ready to go to bed. But at this moment, suddenly, someone rang the doorbell of his dormitory door. Zian was startled and looked up at the optical brain projection on the wall. But he saw that the person standing at the door was none other than Qin Fuyue. What is she doing here at this time? She must be very tired from the starship evolution these days, right? Zian was confused, but didn't think much about it. Let the dormitory's optical brain control system directly open the dormitory door. Qin Fuyue walked in with a scent of fragrance, closed the door and locked it. Zian turned his head to look, his eyes narrowing slightly. However, Qin Fuyue should have just come here after taking a shower. The hair is dry, but very smooth. There was still a little bit of rosiness on that beautiful and charming cheek. It must be because you just took a shower, right? Zian thought so. But Qin Fuyue walked directly to the bed, staring at Zian with her beautiful eyes. Zian was confused for a while and couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong? Why are you staring at me like that? You have something to say?" Faced with Zian's inquiry, Qin Fuyue didn't reply a word. Instead, he suddenly took several deep breaths, and suddenly, he rushed forward and blocked Zian's mouth. The whole process, not a word was said. "Come up and kiss." A fierce personal battle started from then on. Early the next morning, looking at Qin beside him who was still sleeping soundly because he was too tired. As if feeling Zian's gaze, Qin Fuyue slowly opened her beautiful eyes. She didn't have the shyness of an ordinary woman. Looking at her sweetheart right in front of her, Qin Fuyue's big eyes were slightly confused at first. Immediately, the events of last night were replayed in her mind like a reflection, and Qin Fuyue could not help but show a trace of pride. "Humph, you finally fell into my hands. This time, let me see how you can escape." Qin Fuyue exhaled and Roland hummed triumphantly. It was as if he had done something great. A trace of endearment appeared on Zian's face, and he chuckled, "When did I escape? Besides, are you sure it was me who fell into your hands, and not you who fell into mine?" Qin Fuyue raised her eyebrows and said immediately, "Of course you fell into my hands. I took the initiative yesterday." Zian shrugged. He didn't think there was anything to argue about. Just prove it with actions. Qin Fuyue suddenly exclaimed, her face no longer showing any trace of pride, and she quickly begged for mercy, "No, don't. You are a monster. And, besides, Xiaomi and the others should be awake. They'll find out." Zian said amusedly, "You don't think they haven't discovered it yet, do you? You don't know how lively communication is usually. From last night to now, has the communicator rang once?" After hearing what Zian said, Qin Fuyue was stunned. He quickly raised his wrist and looked at the optical watch on it. Really? There was not even a message in the communicator. It was eerily quiet. This time, Qin Fuyue's cheeks finally turned as red as blood. But soon he gritted his teeth again and said, "You know it if you know it. I am not afraid. You are the one I like first. No one can rob you from me." After saying this, Qin Fuyue seemed to be giving up. When Zian wasn't paying attention, he turned over and pushed Zian down. That beautiful and unparalleled little face was full of a proud smile, and she said, "Huh, you fell into my hands, that's it." After saying that, he lowered his head and started fighting again. The other side. Taimei is a tall and arrogant person. At this time, he was like a quail, his huge body huddled in the corner, his head lowered, and he tried his best to control his breathing and not dare to speak loudly. Because she is sure that if she makes any movement now, she will be killed. Why, you ask? Still asking why? Just look at the atmosphere in the living room that seems to have solidified at this moment. Meow. Xiaomi's baby fat little face, which was always cold, was as cold as a 1,000-year-old glacier today. This woman, Hu Chi-Chi, also has a cold face today. Murderous. And the white bird? Same as Tammy. Like a little doormat, huddled in a corner, not daring to make a sound, not daring to touch the bad luck of these two female devils. I don't know how long it took. Miao Xiaomi's expression became more and more angry. She suddenly raised her hand and slapped it on the alloy coffee table in front of her, and said angrily, "Don't come out yet, don't come out yet." She died inside. Do you want to? Do you want to hunt down human traitors? Hu Qiqi bared his teeth and said with the same fierce eyes, "That's too much. How dignified it is. What a dignified figure it is. In broad daylight, is there any moral integrity left?" Tai Mei, who was shrinking her head and not daring to speak, had no idea that Hu Qiqi would suddenly call her famous minister. The huge body was shaken, and he could only bite the bullet and said, "Ah? What's wrong?" Hu Qiqi said angrily, "Knock on the door. It's already this time, I'm hungry. I want to eat." "No, aren't you hungry? I think you've lost weight because of hunger. Hurry up and knock on the door, tell them to come out to eat quickly." Tai Mei was stunned. She felt it. Hu Qiqi wanted to kill her. Knock on the door? Are you going to knock on the door at this time? Tai Mei still wants to live a few more years. I have offended you, Hu Qiqi, but you, Hu Qiqi, cannot beat me. But offended Su Zian. It's really possible that he chopped up the several hundred pounds of my Tai Mei. Don't go. 030, I can't beat him to death. The other side. The white bird's head dropped lower. She was afraid of provoking these two witches and getting herself involved. It's none of my business, you can't see me. It's none of my business, you can't see me. Bai Xiaoyuan was thinking crazy in her heart. Just when Tai Mei was covering her head and feeling helpless. Good thing. A few familiar footsteps saved her. Several pairs of eyes looked up. Then he saw Qin Fuyue holding Su Zian's elbow with a proud and sweet look on her face, and the two of them were walking over talking and laughing. The two of them naturally sensed the atmosphere here, and Qin Fuyue said nothing. After all, she was the one at fault, she was the one who couldn't afford it, and she was the one who carried out the sneak attack. Su Zian, however, seemed to be born dull, and Lianran did not notice the strangeness of the atmosphere. As soon as he came over, he smiled and said, "I just went out and heard Qiqi, who said, who is hungry? Let's go, I happen to be hungry too, let's go eat together. After eating, we are ready to continue setting off." After a pause, just as Hu Qiqi and Miao Xiaomi were about to speak, Su Zian seemed to suddenly remember something and continued, "Ah, that's right. Qiqi, Xiaomi, I suddenly made a fortune recently, so I will wipe out the money you owe me directly." "You owe me a total of several billion?" "Forget it, don't worry, I'll wipe it all out for you." "Well, what were you going to say just now?" "Say it, I'll listen." After saying that, Su Zian looked at the two girls eagerly, as if he was really waiting for them to say something. But at this moment, the coldness of Xiaomi and the dog. But his face froze. "What do you want to say?" "I couldn't say a word. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic." Miao, Xiaomi and Hu Qiqi were so choked that they couldn't say a word. What else can be said? Everything has happened. And so much money. Look at each other. The eyes of the two women were wandering. In the end, I decided to give in to money. After all, that's billions. Looking at the two girls who died instantly, Su Zian smiled proudly in his heart. Still can't handle you? How is it possible to really erase those billions? Non-existent. It must not exist. Yes. Now it's erased. But what follows? There are many ways to make them owe more. He smiled, and out of the corner of his eye, he suddenly caught a glimpse of Tai Mei looking at him eagerly. After a second thought, I immediately understood what she was thinking. He glanced at her and hummed softly. "You, Tai Mei, also want to erase those billions?" "Impossible. Absolutely impossible. To avoid causing trouble again, Zian immediately changed the subject and said, "Let's go, aren't you hungry? Walk, walk, eat, eat." After saying that, he turned around and ran away. In mind, but he couldn't help but think about yesterday and this morning. Should be said or not? Little nagging Chin Fuyue. That's really moist. The dazzling fleet set off again after a day's rest. This departure. The atmosphere seems to have become very different. The communication group, which was originally very lively, is now so quiet that you can hear a pin drop. No one spoke for a long time. But it was just that the communication group was very quiet. In reality? Brilliance, inside the cab. Zian's optical watch beat. He raised his wrist and saw that it was from Meowth. "Meow Xiaomi, what do you like about Chin Fuyue?" Zian blinked. As a good man, of course he tells the truth and never lies. "Zian, I like her long legs." Then the Meow Xiaomi side became quiet. Just when Zian thought Meow Xiaomi was sulking. Sudden. The optical brain watch rang again. When I opened it, I almost had a nosebleed coming out of my nose. See, this time Meow Xiaomi actually sent a selfie photo directly. With today's technology, selfie photos are of course pixel perfect. What is perfect pixel? The so-called perfect pixels mean every detail appears. What you see with your eyes in real life will be what it looks like when photographed. There is no meaning of any color difference. To put it more simply, it is exactly the same as what you see with your eyes. Of course, there are pixel images that are clearer than what the eyes can see. However, there are very few people in the universe taking photos with those kind of pixels. You will only take photos with the same perfect pixels that your eyes see. What, if you shoot with higher pixels, do you plan to enlarge the photo to look for bacteria? The photo sent by Meow Xiaomi is of long legs. Although the upper body was not seen. But judging from her leg shape and clothing. One thing to say. It's indeed Meow Xiaomi's. And what I have to say is. Meow Xiaomi's long legs are definitely the most standard chopstick legs. Super long. Straight. Not a trace of fat. The Achilles tendon is extremely long. As we all know. Do a person's legs look good or not? It's just that her Achilles tendons are not long enough. Meow Xiaomi's Achilles tendon is extremely slender. So her long legs look extremely slender and beautiful. Let's put it this way. If you wear stockings, that's definitely a man's murderous spirit. And now, although not wearing stockings, but it was enough to make Zian stare at him for a long time. Meow Xiaomi, does it look good? Zian deliberately waited for several minutes before replying. Zian, what's good to see? Zian, yeah? When did you send the photo? Zian, I was thinking about other things just now and didn't notice it. Zian, yeah, not bad, pretty good looking. Meow Xiaomi, compared with Chin Fuyue's, whose one is more beautiful? Zian, they are all good looking. They are all good looking. Zian, each has its own advantages and disadvantages. Zian, but Fuyue also has a pretty good figure. Really? After this sentence was sent, Meow Xiaomi became quiet again. This time, more than 5 minutes passed. Ding dong. Ding dong, ding dong. Lots of messages coming. Zian, who had been waiting, suddenly saw that a photo had been sent. On these photos, there is no doubt about it. All belong to Meow Meow. I don't know if Meow Xiaomi was stimulated. Tai. It turns out. I took dozens of photos. Her figure is perfectly presented. Zian's eyes immediately went straight. Be honest. Meow Xiaomi's figure. It's really awesome. The cat people themselves belong to the very muscular type. And Meow Xiaomi is one of the best. Those long legs. That vest line. That wasp waist. That D weapon. That collarbone. That neck. Everything. It's like a piece of art. Meow Xiaomi, what now? Who has a better figure? Zian, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Meow meow, huh? Man. Zian coughed lightly. No more replies. Staring eagerly, nodding from time to time to express his appreciation. TSK. This figure. Simply. But it's just a photo. Zian really only has that kind of appreciation for beauty. There are really no other thoughts. Gentleman Zian did not get his nickname for nothing. This is it. Hu Chichi's message was also sent. Hu Chichi is more direct. I directly sent a video to Zian. How to say? For several days. The atmosphere is very weird, but it's no longer as solemn as it was at the beginning. But it has some inexplicable meaning. Anyway, Meow Xiaomi and Hu Chichi became active again. And they became active, and the entire dazzling fleet was no longer so dull. But I always feel something seems to have happened between them and Zian. At least that's what Tammy thinks. But she has no proof. Explain. As for Zian, never showed anything. Everything is business as usual. Every day, he takes the girls to look for human traitors. Talk about hunting down human traitors, I have to say is. When Qin Fuyue's Huiyue was also specially evolved by Zian into a 100% overall pink perfect quality assault ship with the ultimate length, width and height. The firepower of the brilliant fleet has reached an unimaginably terrifying stage. It's a pity that there is currently no cruiser for them to test how strong it is. The specific strength limit is unclear. I only know that the day before yesterday, the brilliant fleet encountered a medium to large enemy fleet composed of 3 destroyers. Then the 2 women started firing. Directly and easily, he suppressed dozens of starships on the other side, making him unable to even lift his head. Then he was easily solved by everyone. It's not hard to imagine. If we encounter a cruiser again now, want to solve each other, it certainly won't be too difficult. Perhaps the only thing that can pose a threat to the brilliant fleet now, unless the other party is a cruiser of overall pink perfect quality or above. Or the other party is a cruiser captain who has experienced battles for a long time, or maybe they are monster-level geniuses who often hone their skills on the battlefield. Such as Begonia. The brilliant fleet will be more dangerous when encountering such a cruiser. Besides, no problem anymore. But this is just talking about the brilliant fleet. The dazzling fleet except for Zian. If Zian is added to the. If Zian goes all out and fights. So today's brilliant fleet. Invincible under the battleship. Battleships, 1 for 1. The brilliant fleet will definitely be gone. But that battleship will definitely not survive, otherwise. Massive evolution values, massive wealth, and a lot of killings and battles. Massive amounts of natural and earthly treasures. We have created today's splendid fleet. If we still can't be invincible compared to cruisers, what's the use then? So, the current dazzling fleet. It's like a tiger in the Venus-Mercury star system. Be arrogant and domineering. Wherever you go, you will be popular. Even if it's just a cruiser. They all fled after hearing the news. On the contrary, the hunting efficiency of the brilliant fleet has dropped a lot. This makes Zian worried. ##. The 2 major standings, Zian and the brilliant fleet. Always occupying the first place, never changes. It's impossible for anyone to catch up. A few more days passed. When everyone is doing nothing. Over there with the lone wolf fleet. But suddenly a message for help was sent. Called for help from the brilliant fleet. Lone wolf, call the brilliant number. Call Brother Sue. Call Dean Sue. The lone wolf's urgent cry for help rang out from the communication line. Zian raised his eyebrows and immediately asked, Tell me. What happened? What's the situation over there now? In addition, the coordinates will be sent immediately. Lone wolves are their own people. Of course it is impossible for Zian to defraud others of their money like he did to the Tianming fleet. Zian can't do it. What's more, Zian is now eager for a powerful enemy to appear and give the brilliant fleet a good meal. Lone Wolf quickly replied, hasn't it been that we have been teaming up with the other two fleets to hunt destroyers everywhere? But just now, we encountered an ambush. And what ambushed us turned out to be a fleet headed by 2 cruisers. 2 cruisers. 12 destroyers. 33 assault ships. There are more than 100 other frigates and reconnaissance ships. Some of the other 2 fleets were directly destroyed, and everyone died. He was gone before he could even call for help. Now they've called for help, and we're still running. Brother Su, didn't you tell us last time to call you when we see a cruiser? I haven't called for help yet, so. Hearing this, Zian immediately understood what was happening over there. Suddenly his eyes narrowed. If I remember correctly, this is the rodent eradication pioneer plan. There are restrictions on the fleet composition of these human traders. The restriction is that the fleet formed spontaneously by human traders must never be allowed to be too powerful. After all, there are cruisers, and we have all assault ships, as well as many frigates. Facing a cruiser is already very dangerous. When encountering a fleet led by a cruiser again, the only way to survive is to call for help. The fleet led by the cruiser is already the limit, and even the fleet itself has a numerical limit. For example, it is only allowed to have no more than 3 destroyers and 5 assault ships. If it exceeds the limit, the organizer will dispatch immediately to break up the fleet. But now, a fleet of 2 cruisers actually appeared? Moreover, there are 12 destroyers. 33 assault ships? What are you going to do? Why didn't anyone from the organizer move out to break them up? Zian was confused for a while. But after thinking about it for a while, he seemed to have guessed something. Perhaps the organizers did not stop. I'm afraid it has a lot to do with myself and my dazzling fleet, right? I believe that the people above must see the strength of myself and the brilliant fleet. Zian doesn't brag either, even if you don't have yourself. With today's dazzling fleet, there is no problem in picking up a cruiser alone. TOZ. The result is even worse. Because Zian didn't know how powerful the dazzling fleet with full firepower would be after adding himself. So, to be fair, the organizers did not stop this situation. Zian even guessed that it was possible that those participating in the competition protested that the brilliant fleet was too powerful and it was unfair to them to participate in this plan. That's why the current situation has arisen. Of course, you know it without even thinking about it. Even if the organizer allows it, it will definitely only allow such a terrifying fleet to exist at most. No more will do. And once he hears the news, he will definitely rush there as soon as possible. Just enough of a test to set yourself. If you can't beat it, call for help and quit this plan. Once the brilliant fleet withdraws, the remaining personnel will pursue their own rankings. Once there is really such a 1 in 10,000 chance of beating, I believe that the organizers will definitely not increase the difficulty. There must be no one among the remaining contestants who can be shameless enough to protest. What else can you use to protest? They are all assault ship class. The brilliant fleet can even take down such a powerful fleet. What qualifications do they have to protest? Even if they can really have the shamelessness to protest, the organizers will definitely stand by Zian without hesitation. We in the Chongyue Star territory cannot afford to lose this person. It's not shameful to lose. What's shameful is that you can't afford to lose. These thoughts flashed through my mind. Zian smiled softly and did not make any more guesses. Regardless of whether it is what I guessed. Indeed, after I learned that such a fleet existed, BBCG, it's impossible to let go. It is absolutely impossible to look at such a large piece of meat and not eat it. As for whether I can beat him or not, so who knows? You won't know until you play. 55 - Have you really fought? Even if you haven't fought, you haven't lost anything. Even if he has never fought before, Zian is confident that he can definitely kill one of the opponent's cruisers. Then the brilliant fleet dragged the broken body and called for support. As for calling for support, we will directly withdraw from this plan. Zian didn't care either. Although it is indeed a bit regretful. But there is one thing to say. It is even more impossible to leave a piece of meat without eating it. Or, who says you can't beat it? And, who said that I can only fuck myself? Think of this. While rushing towards the location sent by Lone Wolf. On the other hand, he started to contact Lu Tianming. If there are only 2 cruisers, even if we add the 12 destroyers, Zian believes that the brilliant fleet can barely survive. But, plus 33 assault ships, as well as hundreds of frigates and reconnaissance ships. Zian is confident, but not arrogant. Communication was quickly connected. Lu Tianming immediately smiled and said, "Yo yo yo. Who is this? Why did you suddenly remember to contact me? I haven't contacted you for so long, I thought you forgot about me." The words are not finished yet. Zian interrupted the other party directly, "Shut up, you are not a beauty, why should I contact you? There are now 33 assault ships, hundreds of frigates, and reconnaissance ships. Do you want to eat your Tianming fleet?" There was silence there, then Lu Tianming immediately shouted, "Dig a trench." Isn't it the Revenge fleet that suddenly appeared? That's a super fleet with 2 cruisers and 12 destroyers. Let us eat 33 assault ships, hundreds of frigates, and reconnaissance ships. Hiss. F***ck. You don't want to destroy those 2 ships. Zian interrupted impatiently, "Can you stop talking nonsense? Also, do you want to eat or not? Oh, by the way, I know you can't eat these 33 assault ships or something. Even if you eat it, you will definitely suffer heavy losses, so there is another fleet, also a lone wolf fleet from our Earth Federation, that will act with you. Now you just need to answer me, to eat or not to eat. If you eat, don't talk nonsense. If you don't eat, I will find someone else." Lu Tianming really didn't say any nonsense this time, and shouted with great excitement, "Eat. I'll eat. With your dazzling fleet bringing high-end combat power, the rest of these fools won't." Zian hung up the communication directly. This guy has so much nonsense. Then he sent him the coordinates. Then move faster and head over there. And that Revenge fleet. Obviously this name was chosen by these human traders themselves. Also Revenge the fleet. I really don't know where these damn rats got their faces. Don't seek revenge from the Inhumans or the insects. Take revenge on your own compatriots. These bitches. It's absolutely amazing. One by one. All deserve to die. The brilliant fleet arrived at the area where the lone wolf fleet was as quickly as possible. Far away. It can be seen that the lone wolf fleet is fleeing crazily. Behind. More than 100 starships are chasing madly. Because the whole process from the lone wolf calling for help to the arrival of the brilliant fleet only took more than 2 minutes. In addition to the previous fleet, the targets of the attack were 2 other fleets. Therefore, the lone wolf fleet is now in an extremely embarrassed state and has been damaged in many places, but it still persists until the brilliant fleet arrives. If it were a minute or 2 later. That's really hard to say. Just arrived. The brilliant fleet boarded directly. Zian doesn't even need to direct. The boulder stopped directly behind the lone wolf fleet, and the power of all defense devices was turned to the maximum. Hu Qiqi and Qin Fuyue came up with full firepower. Today's Qin Fuyue. She is no longer the Qin Fuyue she used to be. Today's Qin Fuyue is extremely ferocious. It's no worse than Huchichi's firepower. Two such terrifying firepower ships directly suppressed all the dozen destroyers in front of them, making them unable to get closer. Zian began to attack the two cruisers, with Meowth assisting. The remaining assault ships, frigates, and reconnaissance ships were ignored. What Taime's boulder intercepted was only the dozen destroyers and the two cruisers. The Lone Wolf fleet also reacted at this time. You definitely can't run away at this time. He immediately gritted his teeth and turned around to start a counterattack. Their goal is to temporarily intercept the assault ship and the following starships. If it is only temporarily blocked. Although there are dangers everywhere. But if we persist for a few minutes until the fleet arrives at dawn, it won't be a big problem. Xiaomi, hold off this cruiser first and give me 3 minutes. Zian ordered. Meow Xiaomi didn't even think about it and responded immediately, okay. I understand. Immediately, he took the initiative to kill the other cruiser. Create opportunities for Zian. This is the case now, even if the Tianming fleet arrived later. But if our side wants to win, the only breakthrough is here at Zian. Because only Zian can kill the cruiser, and only Zian can do it in a short time. If you kill one cruiser in a short period of time, there will be only one cruiser left. Stress will be greatly reduced. At that time, Zian and Meow Xiaomi will kill another cruiser. The rest of these starships, they can eat it all, otherwise, there are these two cruisers. Impossible to win. Including Zian, he couldn't do it alone without the help of the brilliant fleet. This is the benefit of having a fleet. Fend off enemies. Create opportunities for yourself to kill your enemies. Really? After having Meow Meow to intercept the other cruiser, Zian suddenly felt much more relaxed. Although Meow Meow will appear dangerous. But Meowth is extremely agile, so it's actually not that dangerous. Interception for 3 minutes is not a big problem. Thinking of this, Zian immediately entered a state of concentration. This is also a rare moment in reality for him to enter a full-body fighting state. The moment you enter this state, everything around him seemed to have nothing to do with him. In his eyes, there are only enemies, enemies, and enemies. In just a moment, Zian caught a flaw in the other party. Without hesitation, the shells from the heavy hydrogen atomic-shaped energy cannon were fired. Impartially, one shot directly hit the energy shield facing the opponent's cockpit. Energy shield, with super protective capabilities. With such protective capabilities, it is almost very difficult to replenish energy to this area in a short period of time. At least cruiser-level energy shields can't do that yet. FFLX. Just 3 shots. Zian then penetrated the opponent's energy shield. The combat effectiveness of the 3rd-tier assault ship level Brilliant has increased a lot. At the 1st level, it can already kill a cruiser. 3rd level. Of course there won't be any problems. The opponent's firepower is undoubtedly super fierce. But, not to mention Zian's Star Wars prowess, the anti-aircraft guns easily detonated the opponent's missiles and artillery shells in the air, and some that could not be intercepted were easily dodged. After Zian's Star War power fully exploded. At this moment, he is the most powerful god in the audience. A dignified cruiser. In front of him, he was like a child who was completely powerless to fight back. Whenever the Brilliance attacked the opponent's shells could not hit the Brilliance at all. Even if 1 or 2 shots occasionally hit, it's because Zian didn't dodge at all. The Star Wars strength of both sides. Huge difference. Not only that. The most important thing is that the main gun of the Brilliance is powerful enough. The secondary guns removed from the battleship underwent special evolution by Zian. Its power can definitely cause great damage to the opponent, even the girls who stay with Zian all year round. After feeling the true power of Zian, everyone couldn't help but open their mouths and looked in shock. Even they are like this. Not to mention the Lone Wolf fleet and the Tianming fleet that just arrived. The picture they saw. It was the scene where Zian drove the Brilliance and beat up a cruiser. Although this cruiser is only rudimentary. Although this cruiser captain is the chairman of a group, he has not participated in a battle for many years. But that's a cruiser too. A cruiser was beaten violently like this. They all fell silent. 1. I have greater doubts about my own talent. All his pride and superiority. At this moment, in front of Zian, he was beaten to pieces. But now is not the time to think about this. Seeing that the pressure on the brilliant fleet was increasing, they immediately went into battle to fend off the assault ships, frigates, and reconnaissance ships that were born. Actually, a genius is still a genius after all. Ask for flowers, 0. 12 destroyers and 2 cruisers, they didn't even dare to think about it. But there were 33 assault ships, they wanted to intercept them and create time for Zian. That's still no problem. As for the remaining hundreds of frigates and reconnaissance ships, it was left to the lone wolf fleet, which was severely damaged and far inferior in strength, to deal with it. No big deal. For a while, plunged into a more intense battle. The dazzling fleet also showed its true terror. A total of 12 destroyers. The boulder actually intercepted all of them. Then the 2 girls, Chi and Qin Fuyue, joined forces. It even beat these 12 destroyers so hard that they couldn't even lift their heads. And Bai Xiaoyuan is constantly providing maintenance and support from behind. The 4 girls of the brilliant fleet are Taimei, Chi, Qin Fuyue, and Bai Xiaoyuan. It was so abrupt. Withstood the attack of 12 destroyers. No. More than just resisted. And it also has the absolute upper hand. The shields of these 12 destroyers were being consumed crazily. 0. The shields of several destroyers have been blown out, but Taimei's boulder. Even now, the shield is still there. This is the difference. Perhaps the most difficult person on the field is Miao Xiaomi. There is no denying that she is strong. But it is actually very difficult for her to fight against a destroyer. Her energy shield was blown. The hull of the ship was also penetrated with a hole. But the problem is not particularly big. It can continue to be delayed. Look at Zian's side again. 1 minute. Destroy the opponent's energy shield. In 2 minutes, the glass of the opponent's cockpit was blown out. Then the enemy started tinkering like crazy. 3 minutes. With the 2 main guns firing at the same time, hundreds of secondary guns followed closely behind. The terrifying explosion completely filled the cockpit. A huge amount of points went to Zian alone. Talk for 3 minutes. It really only takes 3 minutes. Just like that, he killed a cruiser. Such a phenomenon. Even if everyone is already prepared. But looking at it now, that kind of visual impact is still so shocking. After killing the cruiser, Zian didn't waste any time. He immediately turned his guns and started to attack the cruiser, which was startled and ready to escape. Now I want to escape again, late. Including the rest of the starships, under the suppression of Chi and Taimei, they could only hold on with no chance of escape. And Zian joined. It also immediately reduced Miao Xiaomi's pressure. The 2 united. Directly launched the massacre of this cruiser. The people in the Lone Wolf fleet and Tianming fleet could tell that their mouths were twitching. This gap. It's really a bit too big. Can't compare, there is no comparison at all. 3 minutes to destroy a cruiser. Are you sure this is the same level? First. No more thoughts. It's none other than Zian and the brilliant fleet, boom. Accompanied by a loud noise, there was also a look of reluctance on the face of the cruiser captain. This cruiser did not escape being killed by Zian in the end. The terrifying evolution values of the 2 cruisers were enough for Zian to evolve the Brilliance into an advanced assault ship. This time, whatever you say, you have to collect enough to evolve to the evolution value of a destroyer. It's not like my trip was in vain. After the destroyer. It's a cruiser. Once arriving at the cruiser, it is the day to go to the border battlefield. Actually speaking, according to the current strength of the brilliant fleet and the brilliant fleet, even if he goes to the battlefield, he is no longer at the cannon fodder level. Because on the battlefield, there are even a large number of mechanical starships, as well as frigates and even reconnaissance ships. Frigates, reconnaissance ships, mechanical starships. Basically, they are all federal troops, or captains with no hope of evolution, limited age, and ready to fight hard. Mechanical starship. It's just the federal army. Therefore, the current strength of the brilliant fleet is no longer cannon fodder when it goes to the battlefield. But there is only one life for a person, and the battlefield is an absolute meat-grinding machine. Only after evolving to the cruiser level can Zian set foot on the battlefield. It can be said that he is a coward, but Zian doesn't think there is anything wrong with being a coward. To know. On the battlefield, countless star destroyers are killed every day. What's more, as the second cruiser was destroyed, the rest of these starships, it is equivalent to the thing in the bed. 12 destroyers. The whole journey takes no more than 10 minutes. They were all killed. Then start cleaning up those assault ships. As for the hundreds of frigates and reconnaissance ships, it was Zian who gave it to the Lone Wolf fleet and the Tianming fleet. After all, you can't be too greedy. This time there was no help from the Lone Wolf fleet and the Tianming fleet. It is absolutely impossible for the brilliant fleet to swallow up this fleet of more than 100 starships. It is precisely because of their help in intercepting starships of assault ships and below. The brilliant fleet was actually fighting 2 cruisers and 12 destroyers, so it could win so easily, not to mention 2 cruisers, 12 destroyers, and 10 or 20 assault ships have already made the brilliant fleet and Zian eat a lot. The remaining dozen assault ships and hundreds of frigates and reconnaissance ships are nothing to worry about at all. Anyway, after Zian dealt with 4 destroyers, he didn't do anything anymore. Zian can almost be said to have eaten 2 cruisers and 4 destroyers alone. The massive evolution value is even enough for him to evolve to the 8th level assault ship level while maintaining his current quality. That's enough, really enough. And all the women. Although I didn't eat much, Zian. Not bad though. Evolving to the mid-level assault ship level with 100% overall pink perfect quality, there is no problem. About an hour later, before everyone is about to get exhausted, finally, the last reconnaissance ship was killed. The reason why it took so long. Mainly used for pursuit. Since then, this fleet specifically targeting Zian was finally dealt with. However, the damage to the brilliant fleet was considerable. No matter how strong the Boulder's defense is, it has limits after all. In subsequent battles, the Ao and Huiyue were also damaged accordingly, including by Xiaoyao's little bird, and several maintenance drones and supply drones were lost. But it's not a big problem. Let's start cleaning the battlefield together. If you drag out valuable things and sell them, they can sell for tens of millions. Zian didn't take action. Instead, he said, "You are strong enough. In the next period of time, let's act separately." Zian thought for a while and said, "Next I will act on my own to find the cruiser to hunt. As for you, just go around looking for destroyer-level fleets to hunt. The best destroyers are hunted by you alone, no one else is allowed to help. Strive for a higher ranking in the personal standings, and you can also be promoted upwards." This idea. From the very beginning, Zian had plans. It's just that most of the previous brilliant fleets were only frigates and were not strong enough. Now, naturally, Zian doesn't need to worry anymore. Today's dazzling fleet, without themselves, they can escape safely even if they cannot defeat the cruiser. There is even a certain probability that you can beat it. Basically, today's brilliant fleet is enough to run rampant here, so Zian naturally does not need to continue to follow. After hearing what Zian said, the girls didn't have any objections. Because these were all discussed by the Ean family before the rodent eradication pioneer plan started. Now that they are strong enough, of course there is no need for Zian to continue escorting them. Now that the direction of action has been confirmed, Zian no longer writes ink. He immediately turned the ship's bow and left in a random direction. The solo journey of the brilliant ship began. Ranked, but not ranked. Now Zian doesn't care anymore. Because he won the first place in personal points, it was a sure thing, and there could be no accidents. Next, the focus is to gain evolutionary points and earn points. Too lazy to pay attention. Driving the brilliance, he began to wander around the Jinshui star system. 3 months after that, Zian, completely immersed in his own world. Fight, evolve, simulate. A full 3 months. Zian's progress is rapid. The Brilliance is currently only a Tier 4 assault ship. But the level of Evolution Master has ushered in another qualitative leap. Zian now has a certain probability of completing the evolution of the destroyer. The unparalleled quality of purple has improved to a certain extent. But don't think that Zian could evolve the purple unparalleled quality before, but now he only has the purple unparalleled quality no matter how hard he improves. There seems to be no difference. Actually, the difference is huge. To put it simply, for ordinary purple unparalleled quality, you may need expensive metal materials and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. The high-end purple unparalleled quality, perhaps the effect of superimposing some ordinary metal materials can achieve the corresponding effect. The cost is lower. Evolution is faster. Even with the same quality, the invisible effect is more powerful. The so-called invisibility effect is recognized in the evolutionist circle. The invisible effect means just as the name suggests. It's something of the same quality, but someone else's may be better than yours. However, because it cannot be displayed digitally, it is called an invisible effect. This is why many people would rather spend more money to hire a master evolutionist than spend less money to hire an evolutionist who can evolve the same quality. If you don't believe it? Simple. Who drives a starship with 100% overall perfect quality to compare it with a starship of the same quality evolved by Zian? Zian is confident that maybe the starship he evolved is not the best, but it is definitely not the worst either. It's kind of average. This is the improvement of the evolution master's strength. Of course, the most important thing is the improvement of the evolutionist's strength also means that the foundation is only more solid. In the future, it will be easier to understand the epic quality of Orange. But Orange epic quality? Some are too far away. Orange epic quality, according to systematic planning, it will not officially start until you start the 4th grade Evolution Master simulation. That's when you're ready to evolve to the battleship level. 4th level evolvers are those who evolve battleships and deep space ships. The 3rd grade evolver is an evolved destroyer and cruiser. That is to say, actually, now Zian's strength. It is already the level of 3rd grade Evolution Master. However, it is not that simple to get certification from the Evolutionist Association. I want to advance from the 2nd level to the 3rd level Evolution Master. It is necessary to evolve 500 white destroyers of ordinary quality, or 100 gray cruisers of inferior quality. However, this falls within the evolution standards of ordinary 5.3 evolvers. Slightly better. That is 300 green high-quality destroyers, or 50 white ordinary quality cruisers. Genius level. That is 100 blue rare quality destroyers, or 20 green excellent quality cruisers. Top genius level. 50 red superior quality destroyers, or 10 blue rare quality cruisers. Monster level. 10 pink perfect quality destroyers, or 3 red excellent quality cruisers. Top level demon or above genius. A purple destroyer of unparalleled quality. That is to say, as long as Zian is willing. In fact, it won't take too long. He can directly evolve a purple unparalleled quality destroyer and be directly promoted to the 3rd level evolver. It only requires the overall purple unparalleled quality, but does not require 100% overall purple unparalleled quality. So speaking of evolutionist promotion for Zian. Easy, not difficult at all. The success rate of evolving destroyers has now reached about 50%. Then evolve a purple destroyer with peerless quality. It's not too far away, these past 3 months. The biggest improvement. In fact, it also depends on design simulation. Because Zian's starship design starts from a much lower level than Star Wars, Individual Wars, and Evolution. Therefore, Evolution is also the fastest. And today. It was also the day when Zian completely completed the Keel design. The design of a starship is far from a simple matter. And being able to complete the design of a starship Keel in just over half a year. In fact, it is already a very amazing thing. You know, many ordinary starships on the market have taken decades, even hundreds of years, to design. It took only such a short time to design the keel of a starship. Tell the truth. Even Ren Qingying, who received the news, was stunned for a long time before he reacted. Immediately invite Zian to the virtual metaverse for an interview. After driving the Brilliance back to the support spacecraft, Zian directly entered the virtual metaverse. As soon as he entered, Ren Qingying sent an invitation. Zian clicked directly to enter, and the screen turned and he appeared in a luxurious hall. Seeing Zian, Ren Qingying immediately smiled and said, "Mr. Su, long time no see. I recently heard that you have excelled in the Rat Exterminator project. Congratulations to us 11 Manhwa Star Territory and our Earth Federation." Zian smiled and waved his hand. "No need to be so polite, just call me by my name." The contact between the two during this period also allowed Ren Qingying to find out what kind of person Zian was. Hearing this, he nodded happily and said, "Then I won't be polite." After a pause, Ren Qingying seemed to be impatient and asked, "The dragon bone you mentioned?" Zian didn't say anything, just waved, and a piece of data was transmitted to Ren Qingying's optical brainwatch. Ren Qingying's expression suddenly became serious, but she couldn't understand the data at all. Zian also knew this, and said, "Is there any equipment here? If there is one, I'll make it directly on site." Ren Qingying was suddenly shocked. You can do it directly now?" No wonder she was so shocked. She thought the keel design mentioned by Zian was successful. "I thought it was just a conceptual design of a keel, but there is no specific implementation plan yet." But now it seems, it doesn't seem to be the case at all? Zian. But it was designed directly? Zian didn't waste any time. He took a quick look and found that there was equipment in this hall. He immediately walked over and started directly. There is a good thing about the virtual metaverse. That is, whether it is the simulated evolution of starships or starship design. The materials used are up to you. No extra money is required either. All free. It's just that the degree of simulation is not very high. The higher the level of the starship, the lower the degree of simulation. This is why many evolutionists are not very keen on simulating the evolution of starships in the virtual metaverse. The virtual metaverse can only play a supporting role. Even high-level evolutionists who evolve high-level starships will not conduct the first simulation in the virtual metaverse at all. Because in that case, it may affect one of their evolutionary ideas, which is not good. But for Zian, these are not problems. As far as the simulated evolution of the virtual metaverse is concerned, it has no effect on him at all. Start directly. Because it's virtual, so if you want to speed up, speed up. The design and manufacturing of the keel is not the evolution of the starship. Designed and manufactured, it cannot be bound to a biological captain, and there is no way to swallow evolution or anything. The first production is simply to use various metals and materials to fuse, match, etc. It even requires the use of smelting equipment, assembly equipment, etc., which is completely different from the evolution of starships. But it also contains a lot of evolutionary knowledge. After all, to create the dragon bone, you have no knowledge of evolution and are not an evolutionist. How do you know this keel is very strong? How do you know if this keel is suitable for the evolution of a biological captain? FFLX. Not every evolutionist is a designer. But every designer must be a powerful evolver. This is the most reasonable thing. The design and manufacture of the keel are all in Zian's mind. He is also quite familiar with manufacturing. What's more, in design simulation, it has been carried out countless times. Here, I feel more at ease. It only takes a while. The general framework of the keel has already been formed. Hiss, what is the maximum length, width and height? Ren Qingying took a breath of cold air. Because Huawei Starship is fully managed by Zian. No matter what Zian produces, she will not care. Therefore, it is not clear that Zian is a reconnaissance ship with extreme length, width and height. Zian didn't look back and said softly, "Don't be surprised. This time I designed a total of 2 keels. The extreme length, width and height are the top models, and there is also a regular model." After hearing what Zian said, Ren Qingying nodded. It's not that she doesn't believe that Zian can't do it. But it's the Huawei Group that doesn't believe in them. Huawei Group is indeed one of the top groups in the Earth Federation. But in the entire universe, it is nothing. For example, Huawei Group's first starship will be directly of the extreme length, width and height type. She thinks. I'm afraid not many people will buy it. After all, the maximum length, width and height also means that the quality will not be too low. The data of extreme length, width and high quality mean that the cost of the starship will never be low, and the selling price will never be too low. Huawei Group has no reputation at all in the universe. A high-priced starship. The vast majority of people will choose a better starship instead of one from their Huawei Group. Good thing. There are also regular models with non-limited length, width and height, which is fine. Thinking like this, Zian's side continued to speed up, probably only about an hour. A brand new keel with a very high-end appearance appeared in front of Ren Qingying. Don't say anything else. Just the look. Ren Qingying fell in love instantly. But the appearance is definitely only second, the most important thing is the parameters. The parameter data given by the virtual metaverse will definitely not be too accurate, but the approximate parameters will not go wrong. Think of this. Immediately look towards the parameters of the keel. 580, unnamed starship keel. Class, scout ship, quality, red excellence, parameters, limit length, width and height, data, super toughness, super rigidity, super load-bearing capacity, excellent layout. Note, the above data and quality are only approximate and not 100% true. See here. Ren Qingying suddenly opened his eyes and opened his mouth. Incredible to watch. Although the data may not be 100% accurate, it is definitely close. She never expected. The virtual metaverse actually gives such a terrifying high score. To know. The excellent quality of red is already the ceiling of the reconnaissance ship level. It can't be any higher. No matter how high the quality is, the biological energy of the scout ship captain cannot be driven at all. And the required evolution value is also particularly terrifying. It is simply not something that the reconnaissance ship level can withstand. But I never expected. Zian came up. Just designed such a top-notch starship. This is by design, not evolution. Just by being designed, its quality actually reaches red excellence. It's hard to imagine how powerful Zian's design talent is. It's even harder to imagine how outrageous Zian's evolutionary talent is. The other side. Zian still didn't stop. Continued to make the keel of the ordinary model. Its speed was so fast that Ren Qingying was dazzled. I just feel. Zian at this moment is full of the unique charm of a man. Powerful. and focus. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.